Yeah. I find it odd that like whenever there's a new president and there's new figureheads in office, and whenever there is, a majority Republican House or a majority Congress or whatever it is, right? People don't understand how the economy doesn't just switch like that because there's a new president in office, right? So whenever Trump was there, for the most part, we were functioning under Obama's economic plan.
Yeah.
Because Obama's economic plan was working for the people. And then obviously COVID happened and all of this stuff ended up happening. And obviously in those moments, a lot of people became really rich. A lot of people became really rich off of COVID, right? Amazon went fucking haywall, and then like all these other Walmart, all these places that like were kind of becoming like very mundane, all of a sudden saw this huge boost in things, right? So all of a sudden in that moment, you are having people like Trump being lobbied, and obviously all the people in Congress and whatever having lobbyists being like, hey, by the way, like, can we just make sure that like this person gets a tax cut because, they did whatever XYZ, right? And so at the end of the day,
I want to add in there. I'm going to let you talk your shit, but I want to add in there that even whenever Democrats do save it, i.e. like you mentioned Obama, there's still some fuck shit happening too. Like they bailed out a fuck ton of banks.
Oh,
so it's, again, just goes to my point that we're not coping for Democrats here.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make some points here.
So the point of that is not to say like, oh, Obama was doing it better, but rather that it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Like this change that has to happen, like whatever Biden was trying to fix was because it was enacted by Trump. And because during the time that Trump was president, he did some fuck shit and ended up fucking up part of our economy. And people are like, no, it's because it's Biden. It's like, it's because you don't fucking know how this works.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, the day after the election, all I kept fucking seeing on Instagram and on social media, this is from like Canadians too, just posting like Trump Canadians. Trump elected, the stock market went up by this many points today, and making shit up like, oh, China wants peace or all this bullshit. It's like, dude, that's not like, that doesn't happen overnight because of fucking Trump, So it's like back to what he was saying, a lot of miseducation and stuff like that. And I'm not the smartest guy either. I fucking don't know. I didn't even know Canada didn't have any terms, any term limit. But I know how to be a somewhat decent human, I think, knock on wood. And there's just some shit that bothers me because of that whole reason. Just like, I personally don't like seeing scumbags win. And it drives me nuts. Not just in politics, in general. I just fucking can't stand it. It drives me nuts. Back to that bullying thing.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. So the fact that it's like, you see back to the big brother concept. You see your big brother, the guy that you're like, we gotta be like them. We gotta be all of a sudden be like, you guys are fucking becoming dickheads. Not like the country, but like making you look like dickheads. It's like we're stuck in that weird spot where we're like, we can criticize you, but you can just turn around and be like, yeah, go over there. And it's like, all right, fine, then fuck you then.
I'm a little bit more. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of people say like, I'm really disappointed because I'm realizing that all of the things that were taught to me about what it means to be a human being, like, pretty much aren't true, right? Yeah,
that's a good.
To be an empath, to be kind to people, to be mindful, to be like, you know what I mean? I get that 100%, but to be honest, and this to you guys can back me up on there on the comments. If you grew up in this country, you've seen scumbags win from the beginning. Oh, yeah. If you research a little bit of history, man, you think Rockefeller was a nice guy?
No.
You think building the railroads was like, oh my God, creative ingenuity at its finest? You know, like You're talking about a people that rebelled against a queen and a monarchy and said they wanted to be free men, but their constitution is a pro-slavery document.
Yeah.
Like we've been morally ambiguous from the start. And mind you, I'm not saying that's a cop out or the excuse to be like, well, it's always been like this. It should keep being like this. No. We should aspire to be better. We should aspire to do better. But for me, the notion of like the bad guy wins, yada yada yada, to me that's not a new concept. It's not a new concept that I've had to wrestle with. I think there's a lot of people that are wrestling with that concept right now because it's like center stage with a big spotlight. Yeah. But like for me, man, like I remember being a kid and like grown men talk to my father a certain way because they knew they could just do it. And my dad wasn't going to do anything. I had seen white people tell my mom, like, if you can't speak this language, you can't be here. You should leave. And like, just disrespect her right in front of her. Like, and then they go out and they get celebrated. They go out and they like, you know, and people give them hugs and they get, you know what I mean? Or their bosses or whatever, this and that. Like, I've seen people that are morally ambiguous that are not necessarily all the way there. I've seen people get away with doing like some dumb shit and then they get, and them get celebrated for it. To me, that's not a new-ish concept. I learned that as a child, and I had to wrestle with it as a child, of people not being kind, of people not being empathetic, of people getting away with things that they should. That in my mind, I'm like, that's not what Disney taught us. You know what I mean? That's not what the moral of WALL-E is. That's not what right. But the world, the simple truth, human nature in a lot of ways is just very negative. We're very fear-based. We're very fear-driven, and we're scared of getting things taken away. We're scared of things going awry. We're scared of us losing things that we feel like we have a right to keep, right? And acting on that fear can be problematic to other people, right? The only thing that I say is, whether you're right or left or whatever, that is really irrelevant to me. If you want the world to be a better place, you have to actively, and I mean actively, make decisions in your life in real time. Think about the decisions that you're making, and actively make the decision that reflects the change that you want to see in the world. And it sounds so cliche, but it is very difficult. It is so difficult to make those kind of decisions because nobody's going to hold you accountable except for yourself. And you can always just show back up to church and repent and put the agua bendita on your forehead and that's it. And everything's good to go. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then, you know, God forbid you end up getting a raise at your job, you get a new car and you feeling yourself and you're like, oh my God, like actually life is doing good. I must be doing a good job. It's very easy to get caught up in this thing of like, oh, well, I must be doing everything right. All the signs of success are there, right? And for me, voting is one of those things where I can go into another diatribe here. For me, voting is one of those things where like people miss the plot when it comes to voting, right? I remember being poor. I remember us being poor. Maybe you have like some faint memories of it, but like I remember the kind of stuff that we had to do whenever we were poor, right? And the very first thing that I ask myself right before I think about my political stances is there, pragmatically speaking, objectively speaking, is there something that I can advocate right now that would have helped me and my family whenever we were in that situation? Because part of the reason we got out of that situation was because we got lucky, not because we had this inherent skill and inherent, you know, divine right to X, Y, and Z. Yeah. It was because we got lucky. It was because we just so happened that, you know, things worked out in that way. It just so happens that I'm in great health and that I was a healthy kid. It just so happened that I didn't need insulin and I didn't need to. I didn't break my leg doing some dumb shit and I had to bankrupt my family. It just so happened that we got lucky. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I asked myself that question: would there be a policy that would help that version of myself, that version of my mother? Because that version of myself and my mother still exists somewhere. It's just not here right now. I managed to get lucky enough to build whatever this is in my house, in my other place, in another city, and this and that. Like, I managed to be successful. I don't tend to vote for myself because here's the thing: going back to that family and the resources. If I'm the parent of those 4 kids, I'm very proud of my first kid that's amazing in school, and I'm gonna celebrate them and like, bro, like every chance I get, I'm gonna celebrate you. I love you to death, right? But in this new scenario, I'm my first kid. I know how to do this. I became financially savvy. I got lucky enough to be able to be in this, in these situations. I know how to walk into a room and create opportunities for myself now. I know how to negotiate. I know how to. I learned this. So if I just keep on the right track, things will just keep flowing along. When I make my voice heard via voting, I don't tend to vote for me because I can make that money back. I already did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can make that money back. I started from nothing. I can do it again. I know how to. I have more resources now. I know what to do. I'm not thinking about me. And if I have $1 million, I'm not thinking about me. If I have $10 million, $15 million, $20 million, I'm not thinking, would it be nice? Again, back to the active decisions. Would it be nice if this year I got a tax break and I get to keep $250,000 or $400,000? Sure, I guess. It'd be nice, right? But could I afford to pay the $400,000 and my life won't change?
Yeah.
Like, that's just greed at that point.
Yeah.
Right? And more importantly, I belong to a society. I belong to a collective of people, right? I'm sitting here talking to you in front of on a mic in front of a camera that I bought because I know how to operate this. My dad worked construction. There's no conceivable reality where I am not aware that my father worked harder than I did, but I make more money.
Yeah.
Because of the opportunities that I was able to take advantage of, right? That's not lost on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not lost on me. So I live in a society. I want this society to function. If I have the privilege to be able to sit on camera, make lots of money, if I have the privilege to have a couple jobs and make lots of, if I have the house here and a house in another city, if I have that privilege, great. Good job, dude. I'm doing a good job. Let's fucking keep chugging along, right? But when I put my voting, my vote down to make my voice heard, that's whenever I make the decision to say, who's disenfranchised? Who's not getting their fair share? Who has the capacity and the potential to do everything that I'm doing the same, if not better, but is being squandered by the fact that there's a circumstance in their way that they can't seem to overcome? You think the kid that has to go on insulin every day isn't capable of doing some great shit? Why should that stop him? In the most educated, most well-off country in the world, if we have the resources, why should that stop them, right? They do this shit, like, and mind you, I'm aware of some of the hypocrisy. They do this shit with abortion all the time. They say, oh, that kid could have cured cancer. The kid that's alive right now could cure cancer. They're already here. Yeah. Instead of this hypothetical new baby that hasn't happened yet for another 6, 8, 7, 8, 9 months, 10 years, right? Like, therein lies a lot of my I guess, like, philosophy when it comes to, like, voting in general. It's like, I don't tend to think about me.
The thing is, like, over the human history or whatever, it's kind of proven that you lift the people at the bottom and then you make money. As if we're just talking about money, the lowest people in as a company, let's talk about a company in general. The lowest people in your company are making money and happy. It translates up. It's not this trickle down economics bullshit where, like, the top people are happy making all these cuts and that shit doesn't go down. It's just they find new ways to hold it at the top. Yeah. You help the people at the bottom lift up. I mean, that's how I was taught. You lift the people at the bottom and help the community up. That's what you do. And to be honest, man, after this last fucking when was COVID?
2020, 4 years ago.
4 years ago? Mm-hmm. This last 4 years just shit on people. And I can understand why people feel the way they do. I mean, myself, after the election on Tuesday, I don't even live in this country. I'm not American. I was like, fuck, I'm not watching the fucking news. I'm not watching all this shit. Do what the fuck you guys want. As long as goes back to kind of my own self-perseverance at that point, where it's like, as long as this doesn't affect me fucking losing my job, you guys do what you want, your country. At this point, I was like, I was done with the American politics. And I like American politics. I like to learn all this shit. But that just drives you nuts. Like that concept of people go to the voting booth and vote, and this is true in Canada too. You go to that voting booth to vote for the disenfranchised or who needs it the most. that shit's fucking extinct at this point in my head.
Man, I hope not. I hope not, because here's the thing that happens. I know a lot of people like to talk about like weird, like really weird realities in the future in terms of like dystopian realities or whatever, right? But I'm gonna keep bringing this to like these analogies that people like can find very visceral. We've all been in a situation. I don't know about you in Canada, but we've all been in a situation in this country where we've seen a homeless person have a psychotic break. Right? Where we've seen a homeless person not be in their right mind, and then things start to happen that when you look at it, you're like, man, like this person clearly needs help, and love, and empathy and resources, right? If you multiply that by tens of millions of people, you get craziness. You get people banding together, doing some weird shit, really going off the walls, and that would be catastrophic for the country, for real. You know what I mean? Because then like, if you think these corporate people have you in shambles and are trying to like scam you, just wait until there's actual chaos. If there's actual chaos, bro, the real snake oil salesman will come out of the woodwork. You want to know how I know? Because whenever you grew up in poverty, you realize that there is an underbelly to culture that is very accessible, right? When you grow up in poverty, you know which person is stealing cars. You know what person is dealing drugs. You know what person, and you know the way that they behave, right? You know the guy that knows the guy that is stealing the car, and they're selling it to you for more money at the pulga or at the flea market. Because they understand supply and demand, and you demand it. And I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of things in front of you, but they might have fucked it up a little bit, and then they'll recommend you to the body shop that'll fix it for you, so that everybody keeps constantly making money. We know those scam artists because that's in some way, shape, or form. Those are the only way that in the underbelly of those cultures. Not saying like Mexican cultures. I'm just saying in general, poverty is the culture. Those are the things that thrive. The real snake oil salesmen come out. And if you multiply that times a whole country, bro, they're going to be selling you all this dumb shit and a half. Yeah. They're going to be selling you this and that, and they're going to take advantage of quite frankly, just people that otherwise can just be valuable members of society and live a perfectly comfortable life, right? A lot of it comes down to like corporate greed, and then a lot of it comes down to like just the psychology of people in general. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. But I'm not ready to lose hope on people just yet. I
hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
I think that for as many things that I don't like about the structure of the American government as it stands, I also think that if there is a system of government that has the capacity to persevere based on checks and balances and based on theory in general, I mean, this is probably the best shot.
You think that even now with Trump?
Yeah, because like I still think like our branches of government will sustain. I also think that Republicans are really good at course correcting and pretending they didn't do shit. So like if the economy starts to look bad and this and that, blah blah blah, it will not surprise me at all if they pivot left for a little bit and still claim that it's still claim that it's a conservative policy. Right? Yeah. Like they'll lie to you to your face about shit that hasn't even happened yet. And then like, you know, like today I saw Trump talk about like transitioning children. They were like, we're gonna stop children transitioning, period. That doesn't even happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
That doesn't even happen. If you look at like the stats, there is a like infinitesimal percentage of the youth population that are teenagers that might get breast reduction surgery because the gender dysphoria is so like extreme, but they have to jump through so many fucking hoops that in a lot of ways it's like just wait till you're 18 or 21 or whatever the fuck, right? Exactly. Because they also know that a lot of the gender dysphoria they age out of it, right? So one, it doesn't even happen, but he says I'm gonna stop it, and when it continues not to happen, who's taking credit?
Yeah,
who's the guy that said he was gonna stop it? You know what I mean? So in 3 years, all he has to say is like, there has been a record low of transitions, blah, blah, blah. And everybody's going to be like, you see, he fixed it. But it was never a problem to begin with. So in my mind, I imagine the economy's doing bad. the corporate powers are like, bro, what the fuck, bro? Like, you gotta give them a little bit of a bone, blah blah blah. They'll pivot left a little bit, and they'll be like, you see, we told you, like,
So,
this is still a right wing policy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's been an interesting couple years, and
bro,
from the outside looking in, it's just been like
it's crazy to me that other countries are really like fucking paying attention.
But like, that's the thing. Like in Canada, like we have like the same thing. It's just not turned up to 11 like it is here. Right?
Well, it looks like y'all are getting a little beta version.
We are getting beta version. We are. It's true. It's already started with like we got to take limit all these immigrants coming in. Too many immigrants, which I agree with. Only to the fact that we're bringing in two people and we don't know how to fucking help them. So you have people coming in and they're on the street.
Yeah,
that's not a fucking healthy system in general. So like we need to fix that part, not the fact that immigrants want to come to Canada. My parents are immigrants. I wouldn't be here if my parents didn't immigrate.
Yeah.
But now it's turned into the whole thing. It's very tribalist by everyone, not even just in Canada, U.S., like everywhere. You go anywhere, it's like, no, are you true Spaniard or are you African? Are you Irish?
That is happening over there, huh?
Are you true Irish or are you British or are you whatever from like when we were there was a lot of Brazilians and that was the thing when I was in Dublin.